Welcome, everyone, to Tell Me More Stories Told as Podcast.
It's great to be here.
Get ready for, well, an adventurous journey today. We're diving into the life of someone truly fascinating.
Absolutely. A name and face pretty much everyone recognizes.
We are talking about Lisa Kudrow, actress, comedian, just an icon, really.
And our mission, as always, is to explore her story, find those surprising details, the pivotal moments you might not know.
Exactly. We want to give you that shortcut to being, really in the know about her incredible path.
And it is incredible. Beyond the characters we love, her own story is, well, it's something else. Lots of resilience there.
Okay, so let's dive in. The beginning. Lisa Valerie Kudrow, born July 30th, 1963.
Right, in Encino, Los Angeles, California.
And her parents, this is interesting right off the bat, Nadra, her mom, a travel agent.
And her dad, Lee Kudrow, a doctor, specialized in headaches.
So kind of different worlds there from the start. She also had siblings.
Yeah, an older sister, Helene, and two brothers, David and Derek, a middle-class Jewish family.
She had a bat mitzvah, too, I read.
Mm-hmm. And her ancestry is pretty diverse. We're talking Belarusian, German, Hungarian, Polish, Jewish descent.
Wow.
And there's a really poignant detail in her family history.
Oh.
Her paternal great-grandmother was actually murdered in the Holocaust.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and her paternal grandmother managed to leave Belarus and make it to Brooklyn. It adds this whole other layer, a story of survival and resilience right there in her background.
Definitely adds depth. You don't immediately think of that when you think of, say, Phoebe Buffay.
Exactly. It's part of the whole person.
So school years, Portola Middle School, then Taft High School.
And get this, Taft High School at the same time as her rapper Eazy-E.
No way.
Yeah. And actress Robin Wright.
It's quite a class photo waiting to happen. Imagine those hallways.
Right. Such different paths originating from the same place.
Then came college, Vassar.
And she studied biology. An AB in biology.
Biology, not acting.
Nope, not initially. The plan was to follow her father, go into headache research.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The kind of unique fact you stumble upon.
Go on.
While she was trying to make it as an actress, pursuing auditions and all that, she actually worked for her father for 8 years.
8 years in his medical practice.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like filing papers. She got research credit on his study about left-handed people and cluster headaches.
Wow. Okay, that is genuinely surprising. Science and acting side by side.
Talk about multitasking. It's such an unexpected blend.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Spending 8 years in that kind of, analytical environment.
Right. Did it influence her acting?
Maybe. That sort of detailed observation, that research mindset, perhaps it fed into how she built characters later on, made them more, specific.
Could be. It certainly shows a different side to her dedication before Hollywood fully took hold. So what made her pivot from the lab coat to the spotlight?
Well, the nudge apparently came from comedian John Lovitz.
John Lovitz, how did they know each other?
He was a childhood friend of her brother. He saw something in her, encouraged her to try comedy.
And that led her where?
To the Groundlings, the legendary improv and sketch comedy school in L.A.
The Groundlings. So many stars came from there. That makes sense.
And that's where she met Cynthia Seghetti, her improv teacher. Kudrow has said Seghetti really changed everything for her whole perspective on acting.
The power of a good teacher, huh?
Absolutely. Clearly, Seghetti saw that spark, and Lisa ran with it. She joined a couple of improv troupes, too.
Like which ones?
Unexpected Company. She was in that with Conan O'Brien, actually.
Conan, how early days.
Yeah. And another one called the Transformers Comedy Troupe. She was the only regular female member there.
Must have been quite the experience honing our skills like that.
Definitely. Building those comedic muscles. And then came the early TV gigs. Little parts.
Like what sort of things?
Well, she had a role in an episode of Cheers. Played someone named Emily.
Cheers. That's a classic. A long way from Phoebe, though.
Oh, absolutely. Just paying the dues, Getting screen time. She also auditioned for Saturday Night Live back in 1990.
SNL. Did you get it?
No, the role went to Julia Sweeney. But still, getting that far, it's significant.
True. Another one of those what-if moments. What came next? Any recurring roles before the big one?
Yes. She landed a recurring part as Kathy Fleischer on the Bob Newhart sitcom, Bob.
Okay, so building momentum in sitcoms.
Steadily, yeah. And she did a few pilots for networks, too. Shows like Just Temporary and Close Encounters, things that didn't quite take off.
The pilot graveyard, every actor knows it well.
Indeed. And then there was a big one, A real setback, actually.
Uh-oh. What happened?
She was originally cast as Roz Doyle in Frasier.
Frasier? Roz Doyle, but that was Perry Gilpin.
Exactly. Kudrow was cast first, but during the taping of the pilot episode, they recast the role with Perry Gilpin.
Ouch. That must have hurt. Major show.
Huge blow, you'd imagine. Kudrow herself said she kind of felt it wasn't working and she started to panic a bit. It gives you a real sense of the pressure, the vulnerability.
Yeah, that's tough. But clearly, she bounced back.
She did, because then came her first recurring role that really stuck, Ursula Buffay.
Ursula, the waitress on Mad About You.
The very same. Eccentric, kind of out there.
And little did anyone know, Ursula was basically the audition for her biggest role ever.
Precisely, because when Friends was being cast,
they needed someone to play Phoebe Buffay.
And they thought, wait, we already have this actress playing a quirky character named Buffay on another show. Let's make them twins.
So she reprised Ursula on Friends, but starred as Phoebe. That's kind of wild, playing twins across two different shows on the same network.
It's pretty unique in TV history, I think. And Phoebe, well, what can you say?
Instant connection. Audiences just fell in love with her. The songs, the smelly cat, the whole vibe.
Totally. Massive critical acclaim. It was the breakout role for her. Launched her film career, everything. She's consistently named one of the greatest TV characters.
And she got the awards recognition too, right?
Yeah, she did. First of the Friends cast to win an Emmy. 1998, Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series.
Well-deserved. Phoebe was just lightning in a bottle.
Absolutely. And Friends itself just became this global juggernaut.
Oh, yeah. Remember the salaries near the end.
Unbelievable. Her, Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, reportedly making $1 million per episode for the last 2 seasons.
$1 million an episode. Guinness Book of World Records stuff.
It just shows the sheer scale of that show's success. And Phoebe was such a key part of that magic formula. Entertainment Weekly even voted Phoebe as her best performance ever.
Hard to argue with that, honestly.
Yeah.
She just embodied that character so perfectly.
It was that blend of, like, weirdness and warmth, vulnerability under the quirkiness. Made her funny, but also really human.
So while Friends was dominating the airwaves, she was also doing movies, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah. She didn't just stick to TV. Appeared in some really memorable comedy films during that time.
Like Romy and Michele's High School Reunion.
Classic. And Hanging Up, Analyze This and its sequel, Analyze That. Even Dr. Dolittle, too.
Quite a mix. But she did drama, too, right? Didn't just stick to comedy.
No, she stretched her wings. Appeared in dramas like Wonderland and The Opposite of Sex.
The Opposite of Sex. She got really good reviews for that one.
She did. Won the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Supporting Actress. Showed real range.
Impressive. Proving she wasn't just Phoebe Buffay.
Exactly. And she kept busy with TV guest spots, too. The Simpsons, King of the Hill. Even hosted Saturday Night Live.
Hosting SNL. That's like reaching a certain comedy pinnacle.
It really is a stamp of approval.
Before we go any further, I just want to remind everyone listening, if you're enjoying this deep dive into Lisa Kudrow's amazing story, make sure you hit that subscribe button for Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast.
Yeah, you won't want to miss the incredible stories we've got coming up.
Okay, so Friends eventually ends, which was huge news at the time. What happens next for Lisa Kudrow? Did she take a break?
Not really. She jumped into creating. She starred in and co-created the HBO series The Comeback.
Oh, The Comeback. Valerie Cherish. That show was brilliant. Ahead of its time, maybe?
A lot of critics felt that way. It got huge critical acclaim, even though it had sort of a broken run. And she got 2 Emmy nominations for Outstanding Lead Actress for it.
Showcased her writing and producing chops, too.
Definitely. And speaking of producing, she started her own production company, Is or Isn't Entertainment.
Smart move. Giving her more control.
And one of the big projects she executive produced through that was the U.S. version of Who Do You Think You Are?
The Ancestry show.
Right. And remember we talked about her family history earlier?
Yeah, the story about her great-grandmother.
Well, that discovery, her great-grandmother's fate in the Holocaust, was actually made during the filming of her episode for that show.
Wow. So that project must have been incredibly personal for her.
You have to imagine so. Connecting with her roots in such a profound and public way.
She also did that web series, right? Web Therapy.
Yeah, another creation of hers. Co-created and starred in it. Started online, then moved to Showtime.
As Fiona Wallace, the therapist. very different character again.
Totally. And it got her another Emmy nomination. She's consistently found ways to create interesting roles for herself.
It seems like she never really stopped working, popping up in all sorts of things.
Pretty much. Guest spots on shows like Cougar Town, voicing characters on BoJack Horseman, roles in Angie Tribeca, Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, even Scandal.
And films, too.
Yep. Things like Happy Endings, Hotel for Dogs, Easy A.
Easy A. She was great in that.
Neighbors. And its sequel, Long Shot, Booksmart, P.S. I Love You, The Girl on the Train. The list goes on.
And she played Hypatia of Alexandria in The Good Place. That was a fun, unexpected role.
Wasn't it? Then more recently, the Netflix comedy Space Force.
With Steve Carell.
Right. And of course, the big one for fans, the Friends reunion special on HBO Max.
Oh man, that was emotional for a lot of people, seeing them all back together.
Definitely a huge TV moment. She's also involved in a game show, 25 Words or Less, as an executive producer, and she sometimes appears on it.
Keep it busy. And her latest role?
A Netflix comedy drama called No Good Deed. Getting some good buzz.
So clearly a career that just keeps evolving, never standing still.
That seems to be the pattern. Always exploring, creating, performing.
Let's shift slightly, touch on her personal life a bit.
Okay.
She married Michele Stern, a French advertising executive, back in 1995.
Oh.
So right in the middle of the Friends boom.
Yeah, they're still together. They live in Beverly Hills.
And they have a son.
Yep. Julian Murray Stern, born May 7th, 1998.
And wasn't her pregnancy written into Friends?
It was. That's when Phoebe became the surrogate mother for her brother Frank Jr. and his wife Alice. Those triplets.
Ah, that's right. A clever way to handle it on screen. Life imitating art? Or art imitating life.
Exactly. A nice little piece of TV trivia there. She also apparently owned a penthouse in Park City, Utah for a while.
Ski country. Nice. Now, something more serious. She spoke out about something she struggled with during Friends, didn't she?
She did. In 2019, she revealed she had experienced body dysmorphic disorder while working on the show.
That's really brave of her to share, especially given how beloved and, seemingly confident she appeared.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? That what we see on the surface isn't always the full story. Fame doesn't make you immune to those kinds of struggles.
Absolutely not. Good for her for opening up about it. Probably helped a lot of people feel less alone.
I would think so. Commendable, really.
So, wrapping things up, thinking about this whole journey, what's the takeaway? Lisa Kudrow's story, it's really something.
It really is. It's a story of, yes, talent, obviously, but also incredible perseverance and just unexpected turns.
From wanting to study headaches to becoming Phoebe Buffay and so much more, it wasn't a straight line.
Not at all. And that's kind of where it gets really interesting to think about.
How so?
Well, consider that unique blend. We talked about the 8 years working in her dad's research field, that scientific analytical mind.
Yeah.
And then this incredibly intuitive, creative, comedic talent. They seem like opposites, right?
On the surface, maybe.
But maybe they weren't opposites for her. Maybe that scientific background somehow informed her comedy, or her dedication from science fueled her acting pursuits. How do those seemingly disconnected parts of us actually, work together?
That's a fascinating thought. We often try to categorize ourselves or others into neat boxes, scientist or artist.
Exactly. But her life suggests it can be much more integrated, much more complex.
So this deep dive into Lisa Kudrow's life, it really leaves us with a kind of provocative question to ponder, doesn't it?
What's on your mind?
How do all the different threads of our own lives, our interests, our jobs, our backgrounds, even the things that seem totally random or unrelated, how do they secretly weave together to shape who we become and the paths we end up taking?
What hidden connections are there in our own stories that we haven't recognized yet?
Yeah, it makes you want to look at your own journey a bit differently, maybe appreciate the detours.
Definitely. Lisa Kudrow's story is a fantastic example that the most fulfilling paths often aren't the most direct ones. The unexpected bits are often the most defining.
Couldn't agree more. A truly remarkable journey. And remember, if you want more stories like this,
Hit subscribe on Tell Me More Stories Told as podcast.